Okay, something else to think about. We're going to have to do a little math right here. But this is one of those projects that is so easy because really all it uses is rectangles. The waistband is a rectangle, and the skirt, the way we're going to do it, is going to be a rectangle. Because all it is just this wide rectangle. You're going to gather in one edge, and then at the bottom you're going to do another rectangle and gather that to the straight edge of the last rectangle you did. And then from there you're going to hem it, and that's really it. It's a very, very simple process. You really don't have to make a pattern. Like the waistband you just saw me with, I didn't make a pattern for that, and it saved me a little time. I am going to make a video for that if I haven't already. That way you can see the actual process of making the waistband if you're really, really technical and you want to see that. So, anyway, now the math for the bottom. We got to start with our waistband measurement, okay? And like I said, I'll make a video about this too, showing you detail on what I'm doing. But basically, we're going to take 26.75, which is my waistband measurement, and we're going to multiply it by 2.5. And where's my phone? Oh yeah, I got a new phone, y'all. Love it! Anyway, okay. So let's see. 26.75 times 2.5 equals 66.875. And I have a little chart where I did or wrote down exactly what 875 equals out to. By the time I upload this video, I will have figured it out. But anyway, so that's what our next rectangle is going to be. So we have our waistband, okay, and then we have the next rectangle, which is going to be the skirt, okay, the upper part of the skirt, because I'm going to cut mine in two, okay, and that is going to be 66.875 inches wide. So we went from 26.75 inches wide for the waistband. That's what the actual waist was, plus the inch of ease. Then 66.875 is what the waist is times 2.5. That way we can have room to gather. Then, so that we can find our next one, we're going to take that and multiply that times 2.5 again. And that equals, let's see, 167.1875. Okay? So we're going from waistband to the skirt to the bottom section of the skirt. Okay? And that's how they make the broom skirts that we see and everything. They don't multiply it quite as much, but that's the basic idea behind it. Every tier should be longer or wider than the next, okay? Now, we also know, okay, we have the waistband section, then we have two sections here. We need to find out how much each section needs to be as far as the length. So, just looking at my ruler here, I know if I wanted it to be, let's see, about as long as my arm, which is a pretty nice size, but that's a little too long. So maybe I'll do 10 inches. And that's a good length. So I'm going to do 10 inches. And so I know the bottom tier will be 10 inches. So I got to say, okay, My original length is 44 inches. 10 off of that is 34 inches. Okay, then I know I need a seam allowance on the top of the tier and the bottom of the tier. The top of the first tier is going to connect to the waistband. The bottom of the first tier is going to connect to the second tier. And the same thing goes for the second tier. Okay? There's only one difference, and I'll explain that in a second. Okay, so 34 inches long. Then we need the extra ½ inch for both. So that'll be an inch on top and excuse me, an inch total, because it'll be a ½ inch on the top and the bottom. Okay. So plus an inch, so that'll be 35 inches long. And then for the bottom tier, I know we're going to have a ½ inch to connect it to the top tier, but we're also going to have a hem. And I'm going to do the hem, I think for this illustration, I am just going to, what am I going to do? I'll serge it and then I'll just flip it up. So let's just do another ½ inch. So total, that will be another inch on the bottom tier. Now if you want to get fancy and your skirt, maybe it is going to be made out of a woven fabric and not a jersey fabric like a lot of the dresses we see during the summer. So if you want, you can add 1 inch or even 2 inches, which is the nicer hem. It's going to be really simple to sew because it's a straight rectangle. So anyway, I'm going to do just an inch for both. So that brings me to, let's see, okay, so that brings me to my top tier being 35 inches long and 66.875 inches wide. Then my bottom tier is going to be 11 inches long and then 167.1875 inches wide. Okay. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, now because we are making this skirt pretty wide, we can give ourselves some liberties, and because it's rectangle or rectangular, we can give ourselves, you know, a whole lot of shortcuts. So what we're going to do is just take the full width of the fabric and use it that way and gather it in. Okay, now the simple way for me to do that, or the simplest thing for me to do, would be to take this and just gather it in and do it that way instead of going by my measurement. And then when I get ready to do it again, just to take the next section twice and gather it that way. That would be the simplest way to do it. If you want to do it that way, by all means go ahead. But keeping with what, you know, we talked about and what I wrote down, we're going to look at it the way we've been doing it. So starting out, I need 35 inches going this way, and, going that way, and then 66 inches coming this way, okay? Now, this fabric is only 46.5 inches wide, okay, and I just measured it. It doesn't quite sound right, but I just measured it. Okay, so 46.5 inches. Now, we know that an inch is going to be devoted just to the seam allowances because we're going to have to sew it to something else to make it work right. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to count 45.5 of those as actual dress inches that we can use. And then we're going to say, okay, what is 45.5 minus 66 7/8, which I found out is what it was. Okay. Clear. 66.875 minus 45.5 equals 1 point. Oops. 275. Okay, so after we do that part, we still need 21.375 inches worth of width on the next row. So let's go ahead and take this. We're going to measure down this way. How many inches? 35 inches, okay? And then we're going to do that, and I'll be back after I cut this out.